Hey everyone, it's Tori Baltierra. I am the lead singer and guitar player for the Tiara Girls. Today I'll be having a chat with Denise Hernández, who is an activist, an entrepreneur, change maker, all around chingona, and one of my role models. So let's get started. Hey Denise.
Hey Tori.
Thank you for coming and chatting with me. You're an
Thank
incredible activist, change maker, entrepreneur, chingona, and you happen to be gay.
Yeah.
So I remember when I was like not fully out yet, I looked up to you, and I still do, and I used you as a symbol of like, you can come out joyful on the other side and you can learn a lot about yourself. And for me, you were like a beam and a symbol of queer joy.
Thank you. That's so sweet.
Yeah, as we both know, like representation in the Latinx LGBTQ plus community is still on the rise, and it's not very common. And we both know that representation matters more than we think.
Absolutely.
So yeah, and I know that like personally I had to do a lot of research myself when I was younger and kind of dig for that. So Denise, I'd like to know what coming out was like for you. Did you come out in your adolescent years? Was it something that was weighing on you? How was it for you?
Yeah, I didn't come out until I was 26, and so when I was in law school, essentially. So definitely not in my adolescent years. And how it came to be was that I met my wife in law school. I had always known for quite some time that I was gay, but that it was hard. I felt a lot of concern of coming out to my family, you know. And my family is an extremely conservative, but a lot of the Latino values uplift a very heteronormative way of a relationship, right?
Yes.
It's a man and a woman. And so I was doing everything I could to not appear gay growing up, you know, and trying to convince yourself of not being gay. But when I was in law school is very hard. It is very draining mentally and very challenging when you're the only person of color in a space. And so that, on top of hiding the fact that I was gay, was a lot. And then on top of meeting my wife at that time, it was a lot to carry. And I did. I mean, I wasn't out until after I graduated law school. And a big part of that for me was I didn't feel like I could really be me as a lawyer, as a first generation, you know, college graduate, as a Latina. I couldn't really be me without fully accepting my identity of being LGBTQ. And so no one forced me to come out. Even my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, wasn't forcing me to come out. She understood that the journey was hard, but it felt like it was necessary for me to truly live the life of creating change, of making a difference. I couldn't do that without first accepting who I was.
Yeah, I really resonate with that because, you know, like my band, our message is to be empowering, but when you're going through that internal battle, you kind of almost feel like a fraud because, like, you know, you're like, I have to be my full self, but there's so many consequences that come with that. And I think, you know, I'm at a place in my life where I'm like, so what? Like, it kind of, it's a filter. It's a filter for the friends and for the people that are going to be supporting us. So I know that you've talked about coming out, you know, it's not often a one-time thing, and I know you've had those interactions in your life. So do you find pride or joy or dread in those interactions?
You know, I used to. It used to be really difficult, especially, you know, when I first came out to my mom, which was hard. I essentially invited her over for dinner, was convinced I'd come out to her over food because as Latinos, getting around food, like that is just
you gotta finish your plate.
Yeah, you know, it's a good thing, but I couldn't even do it during dinner. I had to like convince her to go out with me to go get like dessert to tell her while we were driving. But when I first came out to my mom, it was like I had to come out to everyone then, you know, and so then it came to coming out to coworkers, coming out to friends. And it was really hard, and I didn't know when was the right moment. And a lot of times it would come up where people would ask, you know, are you dating anybody? You know, what is, and I would say, yeah, I'm dating someone. And they'd say, you know, well, what does your boyfriend do? Or what is, you know, tell me about your boyfriend. And so those are the moments where you can correct someone or you don't say anything and you change the subject. And those are the moments I think that are most liberating because every time you step into a moment and you own your truth, and you share a little bit about who you really are, then you begin to realize that those little moments are small and they're scary at first, but after you do them and you come out time and time again, and then it becomes like, oh, this is nothing, you know. And I think you and I had a conversation about this before, that now it's just so easy for me to just openly talk about me and my wife and I do this, you know. And before, I think that type of thing would be really scary, but it's a process, and you stay committed to it, and every day you make a commitment to live your truest life.
Yeah. So let's talk about identity.
Yeah.
I know we're in different parts of our lives, because obviously we're different ages. But like, speaking of coming out, you know, like some days I find like joy in it. I'm like, yeah, I'm gay. Like, and then and then other days I'm like, yeah, it's just a part of me. I don't attach myself to it. It's
right.
because you don't want to, like, I guess when you're young, you're like, you want to stand out, but then you realize, but straight people are straight, gay people are gay, like labels are whatever you want to make them be, and you're like, I don't need to attach myself to something that's, you know, just something that's secondary to who I am. But then there's days that you're like, this is who I am. I have to do this for people that are closeted or that are hiding in fear, and so that I can be a symbol for them. Or just because you spent so many times in your childhood or younger days trying to prove to yourself that you could come to this other end, you know, full and wholesome.
Yeah.
So how does being gay sit in your identity?
I think it's a central part of my identity, especially, you know, being a lawyer and realizing that there aren't a lot of LGBTQ Latinas in the legal field, at least that I know of, right? I can think of maybe a handful. I can count less than 5 of people that I know. And so I feel like it is kind of my responsibility to ensure that I am taking up space and creating a path for the next LGBTQ Latina to follow behind me, and just creating comfortability for our community. And so to me, it's very important. It's something that I used to advocate, I used to fight for equal rights for, but most importantly, it is, to me, something that gives me strength, you know. And it was something I was really scared about when I was younger, and it's something that actually gave me a lot of, you know, made me really self-conscious and a lot of fear. And I've taken that same energy and used it as something to help me be stronger in who I am, to give me a lot of truth, and realizing that that is my power, and that is my, it's something that I can contribute to the community to help create a safe area for others like me. And so definitely something that I advocate on, and I shout loud and proud, I'm gay, and I just, you know, I take up that space proudly.
Nice, nice. So I think that there's something so special and bright about queer love. Like, you know, you see it out in the town, you see it at Pride, you see it through your phone, and it's just like, it radiates in such a different light. So to you, what do you think is the most beautiful thing about queer love?
I think the most beautiful thing about queer love is that you are truly standing in your authenticity and caring for someone in that same truth together. You know, it makes me so happy when I see other gay couples out and about, and my wife and I constantly, when we see other gay couples, we try to, like, hey, you know, like try to do as much to show that strength in community, right? And it's just, it takes a lot of strength to come out. It takes a lot of courage. You also know that oftentimes when people come out, they get shunned away from their families or their communities that they may be a part of at that moment. And a lot of people have died for being gay. A lot of people have been discriminated against for being gay, LGBTQ, and as a whole, our community. And so seeing that love, that truth, that authenticity, it's such a representation of resilience and strength, and it just means so much to me. I sometimes I get teary-eyed when I see, like, when I'm in a big gay LGBTQ queer space, I just feel so seen and so celebrated, and it's emotional, and it's still emotional. I mean, it really wasn't that long ago that we were still trying to fight for equal rights, and until this day, we're still fighting for a lot of equal rights for our trans communities and so many other aspects of our communities. And that love and that sharing of love is just a great reminder that we can continue to fight for each other. Yeah,
I remember when I saw that you had gotten married and you were advocating for like making weddings more inclusive, and you were doing actual groundwork with that. Alongside your own wedding, I saw that and I was like, oh, that's just so beautiful, and it warmed my heart. And I remember like when I checked Twitter, like I think when was it legalized? Like a few years ago.
Yeah, not that long ago.
I was in my bedroom and I like saw on Twitter and I was like, oh my God, like I could probably get married at some point. But that was when I wasn't out, and I kind of was just like, I thought about, now I'm thinking about like young Tori or younger people that are in their bedrooms, like seeing either all the torment that LGBTQ plus people have gone through, are going through, and that's coming their way, that we have to kind of be resilient against. And then other celebratory events that are happening like the legalization of marriage. I think about those times when you kind of have to celebrate in the dark and then go out to the family, to your friends, and just keep that with you, and then it'll sprout later when you think you're gonna come out, or you feel more comfortable. So that just reminded me of when you were doing that work, and I was just like, I want to do that one day. Or
and here you are.
I am.
You're doing it.
Yes.
And I think this is a great moment to show that when you stand in your truth, you encourage others to do the same. When you let your light shine, you really do give people the courage and strength to say, hey, I'm going to let my light shine too. And that's why I think it's really important to just really stand in your identity of being queer, being gay, being LGBTQ. It's important because it really does allow someone else to say, I'm going to do that too.
Yes. Speaking of letting your light shine and letting love free, my sisters and I, we have a song called Let Love Free, and it means a multitude of things for us. It means so much, whether that be knowing that love is something that roams free. It's an act, it's a feeling, it's an emotion, and knowing that it'll come and it'll go. So when you hear the phrase let love free or letting love free, how do you make sense of that in your own head?
When I think let love free, immediately I think allowing love to live outside of what society says is love, right? You know, before gay marriage or LGBTQ couples could marry, love was contained in a box of heteronormative structures, right? It was between a man and a woman, and that's what it looked like. And even there was laws that said, love could only be between people of the same races, right? People who were black and white could not marry at some point, and that was being constrained within the beliefs of these societal structures. And I think letting love free is just allowing consenting adults to be able to, or individuals to truly be, have that love for one another. And obviously letting love free is just like allowing love to be, for one another. And maybe not even in a relationship, allowing love to come forth for community and for one another, for humans, and just reminding all of us that we're all connected, So those are the things that come to mind when I think about.
I love that.
I'm excited to hear the song.
Oh yeah, it'll be out at some point. When I wrote the song "Let Love Free," it was around the time that I came out to my grandmother. That was one of the last things on my to-do list of coming out. Was coming out to my grandmother, and that really inspired me to just combine music with the fact that this was a really big part of my life, a really big shift, and my sisters were a part of it. Because, they were the ones I went to when I wanted to go out with a girl, or I was like, how should I lie? Or just comfort because I couldn't really go to my parents for like things like heartbreak or crushes and stuff like that. So there's verses and choruses that go along with the fact that love will always be roaming and love will always be free. It'll be coming and going. And the fact that I had to take that step as a young person of being like, I might lose people, I might gain opportunities, but this is something that I need to do for myself. And I defined coming out for myself. That's one thing that I learned was like, you don't need to be taking other people's experiences and keeping them as your own. They can influence you, but you really have to live in your own truth and define all of that for yourself. Because the moment that you let other influences be you, then it's just like downhill from there. So yeah, I wanted to do a bit of a speed round if you're up for it.
Yeah.
Just a few questions.
Yeah.
I want you to be as clear and concise as you can.
Okay.
I know it might be hard, but you're a lawyer. You got this.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll see.
All right. Who is your queer icon?
Frida Kahlo.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Mine's Chavela. So.
Oh, that's a good one.
Heart.
Yeah.
Light colored blazer or dark colored blazer?
Dark colored blazer.
Okay.
All day, every day.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. In one sentence or a few words, what advice would you give to a young closeted person?
What matters most is loving yourself over anybody else. Love yourself, stand in your truth, and it doesn't matter about who comes in and out of your life. What matters is having that care and love for who you are in your own soul. So
we could go on about that question forever.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for chatting with me.
Thank you.
You are amazing. You have always been someone I've looked up to, and I probably always will.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that you've come into my life and my sister's lives.
Aw.
And everyone that you come across, I know they're affected by you in such a beautiful way.
Thank you.
To support Denise and all of the amazing work that she's doing, please go give her a follow on Instagram at Denise Creates Change, at Chingona Fest Texas, at Hustle for the Cause, and at KDH Giving Fund. Bye-bye.